I heartily welcome Dr. Anil Lamba sir here, and I thank you, sir, very much for uh, accepting my request to give a session to MCCIA Food Industry Committee here. I will request Shantanu sir to give a brief introduction, and then we will proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So today we are having with us Dr. Anil Lamba, sir. He is a CA, along with that financial literacy activist and the author of the best-selling book known as Romancing the Balance Sheet. So Dr. Lamba's training programs are held internationally with a client list exceeding more than 2,000 of large and medium-sized corporations spread across several countries, including India, USA, and in Europe. He has conceptualized and is actively engaged in the implementation of financially intelligent organizations, financial literacy for all. With over of 2 decades of experience in training and consulting in finance, Dr. Anil Lamba has created and developed 2 series of training videos. Figure Out the World of Figures and Anil Lamba on Finance, and has gone pioneering working in distance and education and e-learning. He has also written several books and over 1,500 articles. His book, Romancing the Balance Sheet, Flirting with Stocks, Eye on the Bottom Line, and Financial Affairs of the Common Man are currently making waves. So it's very glad for us to have you, sir, over here. So it's all over to you, sir. You can start with your presentation.
You. Everybody can see that screen that I'm sharing now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I would suggest that any questions you'd like to send them through the chat mode rather than the Q&A mode. Reason is I have to keep those boxes open on my screen, and if I have too many boxes, it covers my own presentation. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shantanu, for that introduction. Thank you, Anand, for that welcome. I am pleased to accept this invitation. Look forward to addressing all of you. But finance management, COVID or no COVID, is equally important throughout. Nowadays, I think the importance is felt a little more because everybody will go through a tough time. I don't know what the next few months hold. A lot of churning will happen. Lots of companies will shut down. But definitely some will shut down due to avoidable reasons. Some are unavoidable because of COVID pressures. But wherever financial mismanagement causes a business to fail, that gives me a lot of... I think somebody's mic is on. I request all participants to
Yes,
mute.
sir, we are muting them, sir.
Yeah. So since the time is too short, just about an hour, I'm going to start right away. Okay. You know, everything in finance, every understanding in finance starts with an understanding or an appreciation of a balance sheet. Dhaval Gandhi, I'm not going to be speaking about raising money or stuff like that, even though I'm speaking on finance. My topic is finance management. So, how to look for additional finance? Nirmala Sitharaman has given lots of options. Maybe all we need to do is talk to our banker, and he is now hopefully going to give you collateral-free, less interest, long duration, moratorium built into it, loans. So I hope in the next few days, loans, etc. will be available. So let me try and give you with some value addition before I go. Time is too short, so I'm going to get cracking on it. So I was saying everything in finance starts and ends with understanding of a balance sheet. So I'm going to quickly make sure that all of you logged on right now, we are all on the same page, because different people interpret this statement differently, but actually it's a very, very simple statement. A balance sheet, people give it many complicated meanings also, but it's as simple as one side of the balance sheet tells you where the money has come from, and the other side tells you where the money has gone. In any organization, when you start a new business, when a business needs money, how many options does it have? It has only one option. And that option is, it has to borrow. Who does an organization borrow from? It borrows from the owners. Borrowing from owners is called capital. And it borrows from outsiders. Let's create a balance sheet. This company needs 1,000 crores. So the owners contribute 400 crores and some bankers, etc., give 600 crores. First point I'm trying to make is, since both are in the nature of borrowings, owners as well as outsiders' money, both appear on the liability side. But what is the difference between owners as lenders and some outsiders as lenders? The difference seems to be in the terms of lending. On what terms do the owners lend? On what terms do outsiders lend? Folks, you got to understand, when somebody goes to borrow, no lender will ever lend money without asking several questions due diligence related. So the lender wants to know, why do you want the money? What will you do? Where will you invest? How much will you earn? How much will you give the lender as reward? And when will you return the money? So when this organization went to these two groups of people, the owners and the outsiders, and said, we want money to start a food processing organization or something similar. And these lenders must have asked, before we give you money, we want to know, where will you invest? How much do you think you will earn? What will you give us? When will you return? What answer they must have got? Answer received must have been, this company must have said, gentlemen, I'm going to take your money. I will use it to buy several assets which will help me in food processing. I will use your money to buy raw materials. I will use your money to hire people. Once my product is ready, I will use your money to do sales, marketing, etc. And then when we sell our product, we will make profit. And when we make profit, Mr. Owner, we will reward you. Mr. Banker, we will reward you also. And both these people must have said, we have no doubt at all. When you earn, of course you will reward us. But our worry is something else. Our worry is, you think you're going to earn. Can you please tell us what will happen in case you don't earn? And this organization must have said, guys, if I earn, I will give you a return. If I don't earn, how can I give you a return? Listening to this kind of an answer, out of these two lenders, one will back out. Who will back out? Obviously, the bank. The banker will say, I will lend you on one condition. Once I give you the money, I don't care whether you earn or you don't earn. So I will give you the money on the condition that you guarantee me a return. Then this company must have said, bankers, if you want us to guarantee you a return, that means we are expected to give you a reward even when we are losing money. Then they must have said, banker, then our request is, don't keep your expectation very high. If you want a reasonable kind of a return, maybe we'll be able to afford it even when we are losing. And the banker must have said, I'm happy with, let's say, 10%. And this company must have said, Mr. Banker, you want us to give you 10% when we are losing. We are going to agree to that since we have no choice. But then on the other hand, Mr. Banker, don't forget, we might make a lot of money also. Then you don't keep an eye on that. If we are going to give you 10% when we are losing, we will give you the same 10% when we make pots of money. Banker must have said, fair enough. I'd rather have the assurance of a guaranteed return than have the possibility of a very high return in 1 year and nothing in another year. Again, point I'm trying to make is, outsider lend on what condition? Outsider lend on the condition that we want a guaranteed return, but we want a limited amount of return. Owners in turn say, That we are not like the bank, we are not so unreasonable, we understand business has ups and downs, sometimes you make money, sometimes you don't make money. Owners say we are willing to take a risk. If you don't earn, we are okay if you give us nothing. But then the owners say to compensate for that risk when you do earn, and after everybody has been paid off, we will take everything. So on what terms do owners lend the money? Owners lend the money on the condition, don't want guarantees, but then don't want limits on how much we can earn either. Is everyone okay so far? Folks, organizations raise money from two areas: outsiders, owners. Outsiders give on the condition, give us a guaranteed return, but a limited amount of return. Owners say, don't want guarantees. If you don't earn, we will take nothing. But when you earn, we will take everything. This money gets deployed on the right-hand side. Wonderful assets are purchased. Assets are put into use. And then this company starts generating revenue. Imagine on deployment of 1,000 crores, they generate a sales revenue of 3,000 crores. So far, nobody has been paid. How will this 3,000 crores be distributed? Irrespective of the nature of business you are in, irrespective of where you are, whatever sales revenue an organization generates gets distributed between four groups. There are four groups of claimants. Group number one, employees have to be paid salary, landlord has to be paid rent, vendors have to be paid for raw materials, printer, stationer, telephone, water company, travel agent, all these guys have to be paid. So these are together called operating expenses. So one group that stands in the line is operating expenses. Second group that has to be paid is shareholders or the owners. Third group that needs to be paid are the lenders and the bankers. And the fourth group that needs to be paid is government for income tax. Folks, when I say government, here I mean income tax. GST, I am assuming, is part of operating expenses. So sales turnover generated by any business organization gets distributed between these four groups, but not in this order. First claim, order of priority, first claim is of operating expenses. First of the month comes, you've got to pay salary, you've got to pay rent. On the due date, you have to pay overheads. Let's imagine this company's operating expenses happen to be 1,600 crores. The resultant figure is 1,400. What is this figure called? In case some of you have instinctively said gross profit, I must tell you this is not gross profit. For gross profit, that 1,600 of operating expenses, I will have to divide into two parts. When I minus the first part, you get gross profit. When I minus the second part, no, it's not net profit either. This is one step after gross profit, one step before net profit. So this is called operating profit. Or tell me, what kind of profit is this? This is that stage of profit where from sales, you have recovered all your direct and indirect expenses except three. This company has still not paid dividend to the shareholder. This company has still not paid interest to the lender. This company still has not paid income tax to the government. So this figure is also called PBIT, profit before interest and tax, and of course dividend. Or it is called earnings before interest and tax, EBIT. Now three groups are left. You have to pay shareholders, you have to pay lenders, and you have to pay the government. Now whose turn? Now we pay the lenders. This company has borrowed 600 at 10%. So they will pay 60. That gives you 1340. What is this 1340 called? Folks, from PBIT, from profit before interest and tax, you have paid interest. So this is now called PBT, profit before tax. Now you have to pay two groups, shareholders and the government. Now we pay the government. Imagine this company's income tax liability is 340. So that gives you 1,000. What is this 1,000 called? This is now called the profit after tax. And who does this belong to? This belongs to the owners. Remember, owners had said, if you don't earn, we will take nothing. But when you earn, we will take everything. So now the owners are standing in the line. This 1,000 crore should be given to us. But folks, when the company had told the owners, we will give you everything, please understand that is to a large extent a theoretical promise. Rarely will any company distribute the entire profit among shareholders. Why don't they? Wasn't that the condition on which the owner had put the money? Owner had said, if you don't earn, I will take nothing. Had this company not earned, this part of the bargain they would have honored. But the second part of the bargain was in exchange for the risk that we might get nothing. When you do earn and after everybody has been paid off, we will take everything, and the company agreed, then why are they not giving it? You must have observed no company gives entire profit to the shareholders. My question is, why not? This is the condition on which the shareholder had invested money. Why are the company not honoring that commitment made to the shareholder? So whenever I ask this question to any group of people, why aren't entire profits distributed? I get numerous answers, which answers include stuff like, this company needs money for growth, for expansion. They need to run their business. They still haven't returned loan to the bankers. So many answers. My point also is, even if I agree with your answers, but all this they knew even before, right? Then why did they not tell those while taking the money? Why did they not tell them some money we will keep for growth, some money we will keep for running? But even if I accept all your answers, my reaction is, but there is a more important reason, number one, why this profit is not given to the owners. And that is a fact which every entrepreneur knows, experiences very, very soon after starting a business. What does the entrepreneur experience? That entrepreneur experiences the bitter fact that there is no connection between the profit that a company makes and the bank balance that it possesses. And if I have to establish a relationship between the two, I think it is an inverse relationship. Greater the profit that you make, lower the bank balance that you have. Now, why? This sounds like a paradoxical statement, but in fact, it is not paradoxical. I will not get worried if a company that makes 1,000 crore profit does not have 1,000 crores in the bank. Even I will not be surprised, forget 1,000 crores, even if they have minus 500 crores in the bank. But I will be surprised if a company that makes 1,000 crore profit does have 1,000 crores in the bank. That not only surprises me, that will get me worried. Not having money in the bank is not a bad thing, provided it's for the right reasons, not because you squandered the money. Having money in the bank is what gets me worried. How can you have money in the bank? You have to deploy that money to make profit, not keep it in the bank. Current account doesn't even get you interest. And therefore, because 1,000 crore profit will rarely be accompanied by 1,000 crore in the bank. In fact, it is more likely it will have negative bank balance. Therefore, despite having promised to the owner, we will give you the entire profit, the companies cannot give, because where is the money? And even if they did have the money, even if 1,000 crore profit was accompanied by 1,000 crore in the bank, then those other arguments we will take into account. This company will convince shareholders, gentlemen, why are we making so much profit? Because we are successful. Because we are successful, there are so many opportunities of growth, so many opportunities of expansion. Shareholders, if you take all this money home, how will this company grow? For all these reasons put together, this company will convince the shareholders, gentlemen, had you put your 400 crores anywhere else, shareholders have contributed 400. Company will say your 400 had you put anywhere else. In a bank, you would have earned 5%, fixed deposit 8%, bonds 12%, risky ventures 20%. Company will say we can give you 30%, 40%, 50%, but don't take the entire 1,000 crores away. And the shareholders realize ultimately this company belongs to us. So if it is in the interest of the company not to give it to us, and we happen to be the owners of this company, then it is in our interest not to take it away. Shareholders will say, no problem. You can't give us the entire 1,000 crore. Doesn't matter. How much can you give us? 50%? Give us 50%. So how much money will be distributed amongst the shareholders? Shareholders' contribution is 400. 50% of 400 is 200. Let's say this company gives a dividend of 200. How much is left now? 800. Who does this 800 belong to? Who does it belong to? In case you said it belongs to the company, I must tell you, no, it does not belong to the company. It continues to belong to the shareholder. Just because the shareholder accepted 200 out of 1,000, that doesn't mean the shareholder has waived their right over the remaining 800. The shareholder simply told the company, you can't give us 1,000 crore, doesn't matter. How much can you give us? 200? Give us 200. Use our 800 crores. So folks, the profit that the shareholders leave behind, which they could have legitimately taken home, becomes a further liability on the organization. Many non-finance people get confused. Why is profit shown on the liability side? The natural reaction is profit should be an asset. Answer is profit is shown as a liability because it belongs to the owners. And if you do not give it to the owners, then you owe it to the owners. So far as the company is concerned, it's a liability. So tell me, how much is the contribution of the owners in this company now? 400 that they put in, plus 800 that they left behind, 1,200 crores. This 1,200 crores has also been given a name. What is it called? This is now called the shareholders' net worth. Correct? Some people get surprised again that why did 400 not go down? Because you have given 200 to them. And my answer is, folks, 200 was not a return of capital. It was a return on capital. Because you must imagine that 400 is like a fixed deposit kept in the bank. And 200 is the interest paid on fixed deposit. Fixed deposit is still intact. By giving them 200, you did not return 400. 400 is still there. You know, I was telling you, left side of the balance sheet, liability side of the balance sheet represents sources. I was just trying to prove that to you. Tell me, is capital a source of money? Answer is yes. Who gave you that money? Owners. Are reserves a source of money? Answer is yes. Who gave it to you? Owners. Because another way of looking at it is you should treat that 1,000 crore as if it was given to the owners. And the owner said, we want to keep 200 and put 800 back into the company. So the first item is the owner's direct contribution. Second item is the owner's indirect contribution. The third item, loan, is that a source of money? Answer is yes. Who gave it to you? Some banker. But folks, organizations not only go to banks, they also go to vendors, raw material suppliers, service suppliers, and they say, provide goods and services, we'll pay you next month. That also appears over here. Is that a source of money? Answer is yes. The difference is the third item, loan. Some banker gave you a loan in cash. That fourth item, creditor, somebody gave you a loan in the form of goods and services, but it is a loan nevertheless. I hope this is clear to everybody. Anyone who, if you can't understand anything, please shoot a question in the chat box and I'll be able to understand that you're not following. So folks, how many sources are there in an organization? 2. Owners contribute, outsiders contribute. Both contribute in 2 ways, direct, indirect. Owner contributes directly when he puts in the money, indirectly when he leaves behind profit. Outsiders contribute in 2 ways, when they give you loans in cash and when they give you loans in kind. But the most important question to be answered is, why is this organization going around borrowing from everybody? They borrow from owners, they borrow from outsiders, they borrow directly, they borrow indirectly. Do you think this is an arbitrary collection of money, or must it be as per a design? Do you think this is a random collection of sources, or must it be as per a plan? Folks, in real life, first of all, ideally, it better be as per a plan. But in real life, there are enough organizations where the money has not come without a plan. Imagine this money did not come without a plan. It was a random collection. It was an unplanned garnering of resources. What do you think will happen? Folks, if this money has come without a plan, then you can visualize one out of two things happening. When this company starts investing their money to buy assets, they will either discover that halfway through acquisition of assets, they will run out of money because money has come without a plan, or they will discover they were able to buy all the assets that they wanted and money is left over. Folks, if money has come without a plan, you will either have less money than you need, or you will have more money than you need, which is a happier state of affairs. Should an organization have less money than it needs, or should it have more money than it needs? Let's examine both. If you have less money, what will happen? Folks, you want to set up a manufacturing organization and you have less money than you need, halfway through acquisition of assets, halfway through acquisition of land, building, machine, if you run out of money, how will you run your operations? If you have less money than you need, you will get into trouble. If you have more money than you need, I think you will get into bigger trouble.
Hello.
So, first message for you today, message number one, please remember that the mantra of good finance management is less is bad, more is worse. And folks, in this post-COVID situation, the fact that will kill many businesses is because they will have more. They will have more capacity. They will have more inventory. They will have more money blocked in debtors. And you will realize the crime of having more. So please remember, today, unfortunately, I don't have the time to elaborate. I can speak for 3 hours only on this mantra. And the more we speak, the more it will drive home. Everybody understands less is bad. I mean, should you have less inventory or more? If you have less inventory, some orders will not get executed. But I'm saying more is worse. Should you have less manpower or more? If you have less manpower, some functions will not get performed. If you have more, I haven't explained. But remember, that's worse. If you don't give credit to your customers, you lose business. But if you could have got that customer by offering him 30-day credit, if you offer him 60 or a 90-day credit, that is worse. In your body, less blood pressure is bad, but more blood pressure is worse. This rule applies across life. So message number one, I'm going to give you 4 messages today in this session. And the earlier you can start optimizing your assets in the post-COVID period, the more chances of survival. I wish there was much more time. We need at least a whole day to be able to communicate and then work out strategies how to do it. But today, even if I give you enough food for thought, that itself will serve some purpose. So folks, I'm trying to tell you how much money to raise is a matter of art. If you raise less money than you need, you will get into trouble. If you raise more money than you need, you will get into bigger trouble. And how do you know how much money you should raise? That answer will be given to you by the right side of your balance sheet. Therefore, if you're in a lucky position to start a new business where things are in your control, or you're commencing a new project, folks, the first exercise you must do is to prepare an imaginary balance sheet of the business or project that you intend to start. And which side of the imaginary balance sheet will you make first? Answer is right-hand side. First, visualize till the last penny possible. If this business of mine has to succeed, if this project of mine has to see the light of day, then how much money do I need? How much do I need for machinery? How much do I need for equipment? How much do I need for building? And no guessing, folks. Every figure that you put over there should be supported by research, quotations, inquiries. If you say, I need so much money for land, you should have gone, scouted for land, shortlisted the land, negotiated the price, signed a document to freeze the price, then you're saying. So the more accurate the numbers, the better it will be for you. Once you complete the right-hand side, what do? Total it up. How much money do you need to run this business, to make this project a success? Let us say the total comes to 1,000. Let's say 1,000 crores. Now, next step would be look inside. How much money do you need? 1,000 crores. How much do you have? Your share capital is 400 crores. Now you need to figure out, I need 1,000. I've got 400. Where will the difference come from? This is called capital structure planning. How much you are going to put in, how much you'll have to borrow, where you will, this blueprint has to be ready. Right side tells you so much money is required. Left side tell you this is how I plan to fund it. Now when you start the real thing, start with the left hand side. First invest the money that you propose investing out of pocket. Simultaneously start the process of borrowing. And once money comes in, you start investing. Now I want you to visualize right side of the balance sheet. What will this company do with this money? Sizable proportion they will use for the acquisition of infrastructure. So substantial portion will go towards buying land and building, plant, machinery, and so on. These appear in your balance sheet under a heading called fixed assets. Let this company invest substantial portion on acquisition of fixed assets. But this company better make sure that they don't exhaust their resources in the process of creating infrastructure alone. They better make sure once infrastructure has been created, they have more money. Why? Because they will now require a continuous supply of something known as working capital. So let's now understand the components of working capital. Why does this company need working capital, folks? Imagine they set up an infrastructure to do some food processing business. Window dressing, Ashwin, is that is advanced finance management. That first, let's understand the normal balance sheet. So window dressing, manipulation, beyond the scope of today's session, okay? So imagine this company wanted to start the best food processing company in the country. They wanted to be the best company in the country. Because they wanted to be the best, they also wanted the best quality infrastructure. So when they went to buy the infrastructure, imagine they got carried away. And they landed up spending more money on infrastructure than they should have. What is the result? Result is today they have the finest infrastructure to do that food processing business, but no money left for working capital. And next day, let's say a customer comes and gives them an order of 100 crores. Folks, they get an order of 100 crores, they're lucky enough. But they will have to be much luckier than that for the customer to say, I have not only brought you an order of 100 crores, but my order of 100 crores comes along with a check of 100 crores. That will not happen. This company has to understand in that 100 crore order, the raw material component is 60 crores. Unless they have the financial capability, first to buy land, building, plant, machinery, and then to have another 60 crores to buy in raw material business. And as prudent organizations, they will not buy raw material after the customer has walked in. They will probably buy and maintain an inventory of raw material in anticipation of orders so that the day the customer comes in, production can start forthwith. So tell me, first component of working capital, the financial ability, first to create infrastructure and then to go and invest further money in inventory. Second component of working capital is even if you get an order of 100 crores, it's a reasonably large order. It might take 2, 3, 4 months to execute. But folks, income may happen after 3, 4 months, but expenses are continuous. Round the corner is first of the month, employees will wait for salary. Landlord is waiting for rent. Overheads have to be paid. Every business person understands that better hold on to sufficient amounts of cash and bank balances so that day-to-day expenses can continue to be met irrespective of inflow from operations. And folks, after so many months of hard work, they managed to execute the project, call the customer, your order is ready, deliver the goods to the customer, and then they tell the customer, what about my check? And the customer says, come 60 days later, collect your check. Not only they don't get advance, even on delivery they may not get paid, and now they need further financial muscle power to be able to wait another 60 days. In the meantime, business has to continue. Third component of working capital is debtors. Who are debtors, folks? They owe you money. So they seem to be suppliers of money. What are they doing on the user side? Shouldn't they be on the sources side? Answer is debtors are perhaps future suppliers of money. Today they represent consumers of money. Any balance sheet which has got debtor, let's say 100 crore receivable. Folks, 100 crores is not profit. In that 100 crore receivable from a customer, you have invested raw material, you have paid the labor, you have paid the power charges at great cost, you made the product and you've given it to the customer, take it, pay me later. You have to invest in your customer. I wanted all of us to be on the same page so far as this balance sheet is concerned. Balance sheet tells you whether money has come from, where it has gone. Money comes from two sources, owners and outsiders. Money goes into two avenues, creation of infrastructure and supply of working capital. Working capital has three components: inventory, cash and bank balances, and debtors. Now, folks, if you want your business to be a success, you might be aware. Anand has a question. Many times there is a lot of difficulty to find schemes of ministry and other government benefits for food industry, especially MSME. Anand, this question is more of your area than mine. I'm a generalist. I am not a food industry specialist, but I do understand government has a lot of schemes. And if I would want to start something in the food industry, you are the one I'm going to come to ask these things, not the other way around. My job is to tell you finance management, how to make sure due to mismanagement of finance, you don't get into trouble. But these details of government schemes and all, you guys are the experts at that. Ashutosh, debtors means, see, first of all, debtor means that person owes us money. And it appears on the asset side of a balance sheet. So my question is, if that person owes us money, it appears that that person is a supplier of money. Then why don't we show that person on the sources side? And the answer is, debtors are future suppliers of money. Today they are consumers of money. Suppose you sell 1 crore worth of goods to a customer. And he says, I'll pay you later. That 1 crore is not your profit. You probably invested 80-85 lakhs in making that product. So when in your balance sheet 1 crore is due to you, it means your 80-85 lakhs are invested in that. Therefore, it appears on the user's side, not on the source's side. See, quality assurance, I don't know your name is appearing as a company, maybe quality assurance, but debtors are not performing, then also it is working capital because money is blocked. No? Working capital means what? You need money to be blocked into two things. You have to block your money in equipment and infrastructure, and you have to block your money in debtors, amongst other things. So a debtor which is not performing, it's even more bigger need for working capital. Because your money is still stuck with him. At least the customer who pays you, that money goes into a cycle. You can keep rotating it. But the customer who doesn't pay you, your money is stuck over there. So working capital definitely blocked, isn't it? A ratio, Shailesh, of fixed asset to working capital, no standard. Unless there is a standard ratio of industry to industry. But if you talk about in general, you have to study your industry. Then you find out. Now, if you're doing a manufacturing operation. So first everything starts with your ability to do forecasting. So everybody, I will urge you to have a healthy budgeting system. Then you have forecast, this is the kind of sales I will do in the coming year. Then to do that sale, what kind of production I will have to do. Then how much raw material I will need. Then for raw material, how much inventory to maintain, it depends upon the availability of raw material. If your raw material is such that you can pick up a phone and the vendor will give you, then even 2 days of inventory is enough. But if you're, let's say, in the rubber industry or something, where if you want to order a truckload of rubber, today you place an order, 6 months later it will come. Then you have to maintain it. So each person in his own business will have to study. What is the whole idea? That business should not get stuck. Again, today in the agenda today, I won't have the time to explain a working capital cycle. But one of the tricks, to give you in short, is one of the tricks of good finance management is your ability to shorten the working capital cycle. If your inventory levels are 3 months, and then you take 1 month to convert the raw material to finished product, and then you maintain a finished goods inventory also 1 month, and then you give your customer 3 months credit. So your cycle will take 8 months to go around, and you will only achieve 1.5 cycles in a year. So if you invest 100 crores, you will probably generate a turnover of 150 crores. But somebody else who maintains an inventory of 1 month, in fact, he is trying to head towards just-in-time inventory. But if he can maintain 30 days inventory, and due to more efficient production methods, reduce the production cycle from 30 days to 15 days, and maintains a 15 days finished goods inventory, and somehow convinces his customers to pay within 1 month, his cycle will go around in 3 months, and he will achieve 4 cycles in a year. So from outside, it will look like two identical companies are there. They have borrowed the same amount, let's say 100 crores each. But the first person will generate a turnover of 150 crores by investing 100 crore because he takes 1.5 cycles. Second fellow will invest 100 crore, generate a turnover of 400 crores because the working capital cycle is shorter. I'm sure this answers may not have made sense because number one, I was fast, and number two, this is not what I'm systematically explaining. I'm only answering a question. But if I had properly taken you through, every now and then I feel the constraint of time, gentlemen. The subject is such, the more time you give me, we'll again fall short of it. But if this is of interest to you, if some of what I said made sense, please give it a thought. If all of you go back with one message today, you will explore how will you shorten your working capital cycle. And in the post-COVID environment, it becomes critical. That means even without increasing turnovers, you can improve profits. Many methods we can teach you to increase profit without increasing turnover. Anybody can increase turnover and increase profit. But the trick is, with the same turnover, can you improve profit? Or is it even possible that turnovers are falling but profits are rising? Yes, that can happen, and that can happen with good finance management. Vijay Singh, not 4 rules, but I have 2 rules. I'm going to try and share those with you. Yeah. Okay, folks, I was saying, why do businesses fail? If you study, a study has been conducted. Folks, if I do with you a brainstorming session, we can come out with 10, 15, 20 reasons why businesses fail. But the truth is, most businesses fail for one reason. The single biggest cause of business failure worldwide is financial mismanagement. Now, the other reasons that you give me for business failure could be probably unavoidable. As I often mention, sometimes technology becomes obsolete and you don't have money to buy new technology. Now that company failed, but the fellow could not do anything. He had old technology which he was successfully using in the past. Times have changed. Bigger and better players came in, more wealthier players came in, foreign guys came in, they had latest technology. This guy's technology was out of date and he didn't have money. How can you blame him for going sick? Some companies go sick due to labor problems. How can you blame them? Maybe the labor union was unreasonable. But when a company goes sick due to financial mismanagement, I think it's an completely avoidable reason. And most businesses fail due to financial mismanagement. As high as 90% of the businesses that fail due to financial mismanagement. And why am I saying it's avoidable? How is it? Don't people realize the importance of finance management? Tell me, if you realize finance management is important, what will you do? You'll probably see your finance department is better. You'll probably see you hire a more qualified CFO. You'll try and strengthen your finance department. But gentlemen, the truth is very little finance management happens in the finance department. This is one funny subject. where more finance management, or I should be saying more finance mismanagement, happens outside the finance department than in the finance department. So even if you have the finest finance department in the world, your company can be guilty of financial mismanagement. Why? Because the real finance people don't even call themselves finance people. They say we are non-finance people. This word is such a horrible word. This phrase, non-finance person, is responsible for most businesses going sick. If I had my way, I would remove this phrase from the dictionary. What does non-finance person mean? According to me, when a person says non-finance person, I am a non-finance person, that fellow is saying, I don't need to understand the financial implication of my actions. Or when a person says, I'm a finance person, what is he saying? Is he saying I'm an accountant? No, sir, that's an accountant. Don't confuse an accountant with a finance person. When you say you're a finance person, what you're saying is, I am not only responsible for doing what I'm supposed to do. I could be a production man. I could be a salesperson. I could be an HR person. When I say I'm a finance person, I'm not only saying I need to understand production, I need to understand selling, but I am saying I will make sure all my actions are financially intelligent. My production decisions have to be financially intelligent. My sales decisions have to be financially intelligent. When these so-called non-finance people are financially intelligent people, that finance department will say, wow, this company has made wonderful profit. When these so-called non-finance people will take financially unintelligent decisions, that finance department will say, we have made a loss. Neither the finance people will generate profit for you, nor will they generate loss for you. They will calculate and tell you where you stand. But profit or losses are a result of actions of people outside the finance department who are the real finance people, and they call themselves non-finance. Do you see the tragedy? And the result is 90 to 95% business failure in the world happens due to financial mismanagement. So if that is the case, now again, much more time required, but if I have to leave you some value addition, what should you be doing, particularly in the post-COVID situation? What does good finance management entail? Two things I'm going to leave you with. Number one. Okay, message number two. First message was, less is bad, more is worse. Message number two, remember, there are no non-finance people. The term non-finance person is an oxymoron. Finance management is the collective responsibility of the entire organization. So what should you be doing? Two things I'm going to leave you with. Number one, to be successful, remember these two things. Easy to say, not difficult to implement, but needs some effort. Folks, now we are familiar with this balance sheet. What does the left-hand side tell us? Where the money has come from. Right-hand side, where it has gone. Where does money come from? Two sources, owners, outsiders. Both given two ways, direct, indirect. Where does money go? Into two avenues. Creation of infrastructure, supply of working capital. First thing you must remember, most important message, even more important in this post-COVID situation. Remember, out of your sources of money on the left side, none of them are free. Sources are not free. Sources come at a cost. But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If the sources have a cost, what did you do with this money? You went and deployed it on the right side of the balance sheet. So what have you done with this money? You have acquired fantastic assets for yourselves. And what kind of assets are these? Hopefully, these are productive assets. So folks, if sources of money on the left-hand side of the balance sheet have a cost attached to them, then the utilization of money on the right-hand side of the balance sheet have an ability to earn associated with it. What you have to make sure is that you don't ever invest your money without ensuring that what you can earn from the right-hand side is at least equal to, preferably greater than, the cost of the left-hand side. What did the rule say? It says you must recognize that left side of the balance sheet has a cost, right side of the balance sheet possesses an ability to earn. You should invest your money after making sure what you will earn from the right-hand side is either equal to or greater than the cost of the left-hand side. Or if your right-hand side earning is not in your control because that is predetermined, then make sure the sources that you use to buy those assets are such that the sources should cost you equal to or less than the ability to earn. On the one hand, this is such an important rule that I can't even begin to tell you. And frankly, we can discuss for the next 3 hours only this statement that I made just now. But on the other hand, this is such an elementary rule that to understand this rule, you might be saying you don't even need to be literate. What do I mean? Catch an illiterate fellow. Tell him there's a money lender sitting over there. Will you go to that money lender? You tell that illiterate guy, will you go to that money lender and borrow 10,000? This illiterate man goes to the money lender, borrows 10,000. But the money lender says, I will charge you 15% interest. Now, the moment this illiterate man walks out of the money lender's shop, you intercept him. Tell him, now give this 10,000 to me and I will pay you 10%. What answer will he give you? No. Why not? See, I just give you the rule. That illiterate man doesn't need to be told the rule. The rule said, first understand what money costs you. Then when you invest, don't invest unless you can earn equal to or greater than the cost of capital. So on the one hand, I'm telling you, this is a golden rule. On the other hand, I'm telling you, even illiterates understand. Then your reaction will be, Anil, what is golden about it? If everybody understands. Folks, you will be amazed. You will be amazed what an illiterate person will not do. How many large organizations are guilty of doing? What are they guilty of doing? They are guilty of investing their money into avenues where they are not even generating a return, which is even equal to the cost of capital. And what is scary is they don't even know it. Right now, you'll be saying, Anil, that's not possible. First, you told us illiterates understand. Then you are expecting us to believe large corporations, professionals working over there. Are you saying they don't understand? Again, I don't have time to prove it to you. If I had the time, I would have in the next 1 hour, I would have run you through it and proven it to you. But all I want to say right now, they're reading an article by Bain and Company. Bain and Company is one of the largest companies in the world. This used to be owned or maybe still owned by that American politician called Mitt Romney, who was a presidential candidate in 2012 when Barack Obama stood for re-elections. Bain and Company research has found that in the US, 9 out of 10 businesses routinely fail to earn even the cost of capital invested. 9 out of 10. That means where this illiterate fellow said no, 9 out of 10 in US would have said yes. How does it happen? How does it happen? If illiterates understand, how is it large companies don't understand? They don't understand because most business people don't know their cost of capital. The rule said, understand what money costs you. Then make sure you earn equal to or greater than what it costs you. Everybody knows what they're earning. Very few people know cost of capital. Why did this illiterate fellow say no to you when you said, give me that 10,000, I will pay 10%? He said no because he knew his cost of capital is 15%. Bain and Company says 9 out of 10 in US don't. Why? Because they are blissfully ignorant about cost of capital. Right now, if I had the luxury of having you guys face to face with me, and if I had started quizzing you, do you know your cost of capital? First of all, 90 to 95% of you would not have known. And the few people who would have said they know, and the answer you give me, and when I start quizzing you, I would have realized what I'm going to tell you about it and what you tell me is poles apart. But this is also not enough. Assuming you are able to earn equal to or greater than cost of capital. Not enough. Why not enough? You went to this illiterate fellow. Okay, first of all, message number 3. There is no free money. Why don't people know their cost of capital? Because the biggest mistake we make is we treat owners' money to be free. Folks, first of all, every source has a cost, out of which owner's money not only has a cost, it is the most expensive source of money available. So message number 3 of today, 4 messages I have to give you. There is no free money. In fact, the most expensive money is owner's money. So you went to this illiterate fellow. You said, give me that 10,000, I will pay 10%. What was the answer? No. Why not? He says, I'm paying 15. How can I give it to you at 10? Let's see, you tell him, all right, you're paying 15, I understand. I will give you 20%. Can he give it to you? Now can he give it to you? Is he earning more than what his money is costing him? Yes. But he may still not give it to you. Why will he not give it to you? He may not give it to you if this investment opportunity which you are offering is satisfying this rule, but maybe it's not satisfying the second rule, which I haven't told you yet. Second rule says, also remember. In fact, you draft the rule yourselves. When this illiterate fellow went to the money lender, I want to borrow 10,000. Money lender said, Mr. Borrower, condition is I will charge you 15% interest. And the money lender said, Mr. Borrower, there is one more condition. Make sure you return this loan in the next 1 month. You went to him, you said, give this 10,000 to me and I will pay you 20% and I will return this money after 2 months. Can he give it to you? Now, this investment opportunity satisfies rule 1, but fails to satisfy rule 2, still should not be taken up. Give me rule number 2, folks. Can you put it in words? Rule number 2 says, also don't forget, none of these sources, not only they are not free, but they are also not gifts. Under what heading do we show these sources? We show them in a balance sheet under a heading called liabilities. What does it mean? It means every person who has lent you the money today is the same person who will be standing outside your door. I want it back. But folks, you took this money and deployed it on the right-hand side. But the guys on the left-hand side will want it back sometime or the other. How will you give it back? And therefore, rule number 2 says, invest your money in such a way that the assets will bring it back before the liabilities ask for it back. Which is the reason right now in the government's new plan, 20 lakh crore plan, one of the things is many people will not be in a position to pay back. So they are urging bankers to be liberal. They are urging bankers to waive certain EMIs. They are urging bankers to give loans on a longer moratorium so that you get more time. But please remember, ultimately it's a loan, it's not a gift. So even if you get a longer period post-COVID, when you do deploy, make sure this rule is not violated. Only hopefully you'll get more breathing time, but that more breathing time will be taken away by less market, by less business, by not having, even if you have orders, you'll take longer time to produce because labor, which has migratory labor, which has gone away, has not come back. Too many things are there. And in this post-COVID situation, it is still important that you remember, even more critical that you remember these 2 things. And therefore, message number 4, never ever use short-term funds for long-term purposes. Short-term, relative word. Never ever use. In fact, I don't even know how to emphasize this enough. I could have emphasized if I could give you a 2-hour talk on this. All I want to say is I was writing a LinkedIn post sometime back and I said if there was a graveyard of companies, the tombstone in front of many would have read, here lies a company that used short-term funds to acquire long-term assets. Give me a sick company's balance sheet and 9 out of 10 would have failed because they didn't. Why? Because they didn't understand that liabilities have to be paid back. Assets can bring the money back, but assets must bring it back before the liabilities have to be paid back. We leave 5-10 minutes for some questions, folks. I hope it wasn't too fast. I've already crossed the time allotted to me, 12:30. Folks, if anyone is interested, we have this workshop around the corner. If you wish, you can take a screenshot of it and keep it. In case you're interested, get in touch where you can get much more information. But thank you very much. We can now have some question answers. Yes, I can see Yatin asking a question. Land and building are non-productive assets. For some, they are non-productive. For others, they are productive. But first of all, any non-productive asset is killing you. So either you make that asset productive or get rid of it so that release the money and bring it into circulation. Jaideep said the right side can change dramatically in current type situations, whereas while taking sources, this side. Absolutely, Jaideep. So even if you had given it a lot of thought, who could have predicted COVID, right? So these are things which catch you by surprise. And now you have to read, see, especially this new loans that the government is offering. And now you'll be able to command longer, hopefully, repayment periods, lower rates of interest. So you should assume you're making a brand new balance sheet right now and then apply everything that I told you. Thank you, Anand. Thank you. Yatin, true, very true. Arey, Manoj, 4 messages I've forgotten now. Yeah. First was less is bad, more is worse. Second was no money is free. Third was there are no non-finance people. And fourth was don't ever use short-term money for long-term purposes. Ashutosh, more important than hiring a CA, there's no guarantee that that person will be able to do better than you. I think the best finance person in the company is the owner himself, where mistakes hurt him here. Unless those mistakes hurt, you don't have the right motivation to do it. So the best person is, finance is not rocket science, gentlemen. Finance is a common sense subject. If you learn this subject, it's not difficult at all. If I had you available to me for 1 week, I would have made you masters of finance. Within 2 days, we can do quite a bit. You learn yourself. And then CAs, etc., you can use for legality. CAs you can use for auditing. CAs you can use for income tax. But for your own finance management, Yatin's question I was reading, Yatin is one of the most intelligent finance guys. He's an industrialist. He's not a chartered accountant. But I think he's probably more intelligent than many CAs put together. How is the effect of 20 lakh crores? Vijay, too early to say. We are still struggling to understand. Certain things are not making sense and it's too early. In the next few days, hopefully more clarity will come. But the immediate effect was positive. Now some people are becoming skeptical. But I think it is little early for both. Let's not get too overboard. Let's not get too critical also. Let us first understand. Can you please elaborate more on venture capitalists? I don't know how many venture capitalists will be left now, Abhijit. This is not the time for venture capitalists to come in, even though ideally this should be the time. They are the ones who are supposed to take risks. But what happens is venture capitalists take equity. And today is the time to take debt, gentlemen. Don't give away equity because today their expectation will be very, very high and you might land up losing your business also. So today, understand your business, see what are you taking money for, see those 2 rules that I told you if they are being validated. If yes, then go for debt. And government in that 20 lakh crore has a substantial outlay for, they are giving guarantees. So the bank will not be worried because bank's loan is secured. They're giving you better terms, they're giving you lower interest. So I think today is the time, don't go for venture capital funding at this time is my thinking. Shantanu, go ahead and launch the poll. Yes.
Yes, sir, launched.
What is the best finance option in capital structure? I'm scared to give this answer in short, because my approach has always been debt is the finest option, provided those two rules are not violated. A standard blanket saying debt is good? No. Many companies shut down because of debt. But they don't shut down because of that. They either shut down because they violated rule 1. What was rule 1? You borrow at, say, I'll give you 12% interest and you can't earn 8%. Then you can't blame debt. That is foolish borrowing. Or you borrow and tell the banker I will return in 3 years and the money cannot be recovered back from your business in 5 years. Then you violated rule 2. But if these two rules don't get violated, debt is fantastic. Anand, use of artificial intelligence in finance, I don't know. Artificial intelligence will definitely help you analyze financial statements, come out with MIS, etc. But I haven't given enough thought about AI in finance management yet. How can a company make the best use of its finance department? Best use of finance department is, Ameya, accounting can be taken care of by software. Finance department, unfortunately, in most companies, they call accounts department as finance department. First of all, make sure you have a finance department. And then the finance guys should be used more for analytics and for evaluation and for taking financially intelligent decisions. And also they should use their time and energy to train the rest of the organization. You know, what is finance management? Otherwise, finance remains the domain of finance people. The rest of them say we are non-finance. And when a downturn comes, that company shuts down and then they realize, I wish I had learned this earlier. Learn these things before the problems have occurred, not after you have got into trouble. How to analyze our own business financial strength? Pranjali, minimum 2-day, 3-day workshop before I can tell you that. Which ratio should be monitored? Current ratio, liquid ratio, Bharat, but I have to explain the relevance of each. No? Just giving you the ratio doesn't. So when we run you through the rationale behind it, in fact, ratio will come out of you itself. Oh, we should work out this ratio rather than being given. Then you will make the maximum use of it. But from a liquidity perspective, Bharat, you should check your current ratio, which should be in the region of 2:1, and a liquid ratio should never go below 1:1. How to take a decision on when to close the business? Very difficult to answer, Jaideep. But if you're continuing to make losses, then to cut losses, maybe one has to. But if there is any scope of putting it back on, if the lenders can be accommodative, if banker is willing to restructure the loan, and if your demand for your product is still there, it's a very subjective question, Balas. Who was it, Jaideep? Right, folks, a poll is going on. I think I have overshot my time. MCCIA and Anand, tell me, when do you want me to close? Otherwise, thank you very much for a patient listening, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me today, Anand and Maratha Chamber. Always a pleasure to come and talk to you guys.
Anil sir, it was a very exciting session.
Thank you, sir.
I think hopefully all the delegates had stuck to the screen without blinking the eyes, and ears were always at the noise. So it was very great to have you, sir, once again here. And hopefully we will have the, not on the virtual platform, but face to face, once again we can have the training over here, and it will be very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Anand sir, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, sir, he is back. Yes, sir, Anand sir,
Yes, sorry. No, I think very, it's a new beginning of a thinking process about finance, numbers, analysis. Very correctly said, sir. Accounts, finance, बहुत बार एक ही डिपार्टमेंट समझ लेते हैं लोग. फूड इंडस्ट्री, एमएसएमई, एसएमई में काफी अवेयरनेस इसका बिल्ड करना जरूरी है. And I wish we to have one face-to-face session soon with you. And I'm glad you shared a slide about the program, and we will share that also to everyone.
Thank you.
And we will definitely see how all our friends and the sector gets largely benefited with you in the long run as well. So that we will discuss with you again as MCCIA, if we can provide some additional services to food industry on finance management through our association.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure
Uh,
being here. Thank you for
Shantanu,
inviting once again.
yes. Shantanu, we will now complete the session. And thank you to all participants for attending the session, giving your time. And I hope that this is how we will constructively use time to restructure our business, our thinking post COVID for a longer and sustainable growth of our industry. And Chamber will always be supportive to work on holistic growth of industry altogether. Thank you so much.